Hello, sixth graders. It's me, Mrs. James. I am in the lower level of the library to record a video for you so that you can practice your Ohio State test. As I told you, we are going to be working on getting ready for the OST, and that's Ohio State test. And I want to make sure that you guys have some good practice. And so we're going to go over that today. I apologize for how crusty my voice sounds. I have a little bit of a head cold, so we'll see how it goes. So, on your paper that you have, I'm going to show you because I have it right here. This is what I want you to look at. This is typically what there it is. This is typically what your reading passages will look like. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go through this first one and we're going to answer some of the questions. Here is one major problem, sixth graders. When you are ready to take your Ohio State test, so many people do not read the whole passage, and that is how they get the answer wrong. They don't read the whole thing. I know it's not easy. I know it can be hard, but I want to encourage you to really implore you to read the whole thing and to make sure that you are not rushing through it. We don't want to rush through this test. All right, so this is an excerpt from Beauty and the Beast. We're going to read it together, and then we are going to answer the questions. Now, you notice this is 3 pages, so it's kind of long. And we've got some questions to go along with it, and I'm going to help you think through all of these questions. This is only one passage. Sometimes you have to read 2 passages and answer questions about both of those. So let's just start with Beauty and the Beast together. I want you to get out your paper. I want you to follow along, and I want to see you paying attention, okay? All right, Beauty and the Beast, edited by Andrew Lang. If you notice over here on the right, there's numbers. So sometimes it'll tell you in paragraph 8, what did this say? Or go back to paragraph 6 and see this. And the one thing that I love to teach my students to do is when you write and you're looking for your evidence, then just say in paragraph 2, it states. That's one way to get your evidence, okay? All right, so everything went on for a long time until at last, happy as she was, Beauty began to long for the sight of her father and her brothers and sisters. And one night, seeing her look very sad, the Beast asked her what was the matter. Beauty had quite ceased to be afraid of him. Now she knew that he was really gentle in spite of his ferocious looks and his dreadful voice. So she answered that she was longing to see her home once more. Upon hearing this, the Beast seemed sadly distressed and cried miserably. Do you notice that I'm not trying to read fast? Do you notice that I'm not blah, 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 blah? I'm reading slowly. I'm making sure that I understand it. If I didn't understand something there, I would go back and read it again. You have 2 hours to take this test. People who finish in 20 minutes, I know that they have not read it all. All right, so just take your time. All right, paragraph 2. Ah, Beauty, you have the heart to desert an unhappy beast like this. What more do you want to make you happy? Is it because you hate me that you want to escape? No, dear beast, answered Beauty softly. I do not hate you, and I should be very sorry never to see you any more, but I long to see my father again. Only let me go for 2 months, and I promise to come back to you and stay for the rest of my life. The beast, who had been sighing dolefully while she spoke, now replied, I cannot refuse you anything you ask, even though it should cost me my life. Take the 4 boxes you will find in the room next to your own and fill them with everything you wish to take with you. But remember your promise and come back when the 2 months are over, or you may have cause to repent it. For if you do not come in good time, you will find your faithful beast dead. You will not need any chariot to bring you back. Only say goodbye to all your brothers and sisters the night before you come away. And when you have gone to bed, turn this ring around upon your finger and say firmly, I wish to go back to my palace and see the beast again. Good night, Beauty. Fear nothing. Sleep peacefully, and before long you shall see your father once more. All right, now this is the part where a lot of students give up and they be like, I ain't reading all this. This is just too much. Let me just answer the question. Don't do that. Just read it. You can do it. Don't give up. Push through. Paragraph 6. Then her sister seemed to have got quite used to being without her, and even found her rather in the way. So she would not have been sorry when the 2 months were over, but for her father and brothers who begged her to stay and seemed so grieved at the thought of her departure that she had not the courage to say goodbye to them. Every day when she got up, she meant to say it at night, and when night came, she put it off again until at last she had a dismal dream which helped her to make up her mind. Beauty was so terrified by this dream that the next morning she announced her intention of going back at once. And that very night she said goodbye to her father and all her brothers and sisters, and as soon as she was in bed, she turned her ring up round upon her finger and said firmly, I wish to go back to my palace and see my beast again, as she had been told to do. Then she fell asleep instantly and only woke up to hear the clock saying, Beauty, Beauty, 12 times in its musical voice, which told her at once that she was really in the palace once more. Everything was just as before, and her birds were so glad to see her. But Beauty thought she had never known such a long day, for she was so anxious to see the beast again that she felt as if supper time would never come. But when it did come and no beast appeared, she was really frightened. So after listening and waiting for a long time, she ran down into the garden to search for him. Up and down the paths and avenues ran poor Beauty, calling him in vain, for no one answered, and not a trace of him could she find, until at last, quite tired, she stopped for a minute's rest and saw that she was standing opposite the shady path she had seen in her dream. She rushed down it, and sure enough, there was the cave, and in it lay the beast, asleep, as Beauty thought. Quite glad to have found him, she ran up and stroked his head, but to her horror, he did not move or open his eyes. Oh, he's dead, and it's all my fault, said Beauty, crying bitterly. Last page. We're almost there, sixth graders. Not time to give up. Paragraph 12. But then, looking at him again, she fancied he still breathed, and hastily fetching some water from the nearest fountain, she sprinkled it over his face, and to her great delight, he began to revive. Oh, beast, how you frightened me, she cried. I never knew how much I loved you until just now, when I feared I was too late to save your life. Can you really love such an ugly creature as I am? Said the beast faintly. Ah, Beauty, you only came just in time. I was dying because I thought you had forgotten your promise, but go back now and rest. I shall see you again by and by. Beauty, who had half expected that he would be angry with her, was reassured by his gentle voice and went back to the palace where supper was awaiting her. And afterward, the beast came in as usual and talked about the time she had spent with her father, asking if she had enjoyed herself and if they had all been very glad to see her. Beauty answered politely and quite enjoyed telling him all that had happened to her. And when at last the time came for him to go, and he asked, as he had so often asked before, Beauty, will you marry me? She answered softly, Yes, dear beast. As she spoke, a blaze of light sprang up before the windows of the palace. Fireworks crackled, and across the avenue of orange trees and letters all made of fireflies was written, Long live the prince and his bride. Turning to ask the beast what it could all mean, Beauty found that he had disappeared, and in his place stood her long-loved prince. Okay, we have now finished reading this passage. I'm not going to pretend like that was the most interesting thing I ever read. It wasn't. It was actually quite boring. However, the goal in this is to see how well can you read, how well can you pay attention, how well can you stick with a long text. Sixth graders, when you start working, sometimes you're going to have to read a whole report and figure out what to do. When you go to college, you'll have to read a whole chapter of something that might not be interesting. But this test is trying to see, can you do that? And you have to try, okay? So now it's got questions. I do not like these kinds of questions, part A and part B, but we're going to do our best with them, right? We are not going to skip it. We're not going to just answer questions. We are going to do our best. Don't make me mad. All right. Number one, this question has two parts. In the answer document, first answer part A, then part B. All right, based on the context of paragraph 10, first of all, before I even go any further, I know that before I answer this, I'm going to go back to paragraph 10 and make sure that I have a full understanding because I can't remember exactly what was in paragraph 10. Based on the context of paragraph 10, what is the meaning of the phrase calling him in vain? A, calling loudly, B, calling self-centeredly, C, calling soft-spokenly, or D, calling unsuccessfully. Let me go to paragraph 10 and let me find where they said that she was calling him in vain. All right, I found it. And I'm going to read that sentence. Up and down the paths and avenues ran poor Beauty, calling him in vain, for no one answered, and not a trace of him could she find. So when I go back to that, she was calling him loudly, I'm sure, probably not self-centeredly, and definitely not soft-spokenly. So I'm going to go with A or D. Was she calling him loudly, or was she calling him unsuccessfully? And I'm going to say that she was calling him unsuccessfully, and let me tell you why. She was calling him and no one answered. So the correct answer is D. Let's look at part B. Select the phrase that supports the meaning selected in part A. So if we said that she called him in vain, for no one answered and not a trace of him, blah, 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 let's find what part of the evidence actually supports that answer. How do you know that that's the right answer? So A, up and down the paths and avenues ran poor Beauty. The fact that she ran does not support or prove that she was calling him in vain, and it meant that it was unsuccessful. B, for no one answered. That could be it because it's her calling in vain means that she called for no reason. Even though she's yelling and yelling and speaking in vain, that means that nobody, it's not making a difference. C, and not a trace of him could she find. D, until at last, quite tired, she stopped for a minute's rest. Or E, and saw that she was standing opposite the shady path she had seen in her dream. All right, none of these work except for B. Nobody answered. So she was calling and calling and calling for no reason. Okay, so we're going to pick B for that. Let's look at number 2, and let's look at number 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, and then we'll be done. All right, number 2. In the answer document, select 2 quotations from the passage that show that the beast acts courteously toward Beauty. Now, this is where it gets tough because it wants to make sure that you know what courteous means, and it also wants to make sure that you know from the text. And so this could get difficult. Do you know what courteous means? It just means to be kind and respectful. And caring and giving. So let's read each one. Up and down the paths and avenues ran poor Beauty, calling him in vain, for no one answered. That's not really courteous. B, this is Belle speaking. I never knew how much I loved you until just now when I feared I was too late to save your life. Some people would say that that was one because, I don't know. Let's keep reading. C, I was dying because I thought you had forgotten your promise. D, but go back now and rest. I shall see you again by and by. E, and afterward the beast came in as usual and talked about the time she had spent with her father, asking if she enjoyed herself and if they had all been very glad to see her. F, turning to ask the beast what it could all mean, Beauty found that he had disappeared, and in his place stood her long-loved prince. All right, so we've got to pick two quotations that show that the beast acts courteously toward Beauty. Let me tell you, sixth graders, do not be discouraged because if I'm honest with you, there's a couple of these that I'm like, oh, this could be it and that could be it. So don't feel bad if you struggle with it, but we're going to still do our best. I am going to say that hmm, I like D because he's telling her to go rest. That is a very courteous thing to do. Um, and I also like E because he's asking her about what's going on. I don't think F or A. So what do you guys think? And Belle is saying, I never knew how much I loved you until now. So that's courteous, but that's Belle speaking to him. So I don't think that it's going to be B. So because of that, I'm going to go with D for sure, because he wants her to go and rest. And I'm going to go with E because he's asking her about how her time was and he actually let her go. All right, let's look at number 3. How does paragraph 19 contribute to the overall passage? Before we do anything, we got to go back to what? Paragraph 19 and just read it to make sure that we know what we're talking about. So, chapter 19, paragraph 19. Turning to ask the beast what it could all mean, Beauty found that he had disappeared, and in his place stood her long loved prince. All right. So, how does it contribute to the overall passage? When you hear a question like that, it's asking you, how does it help the passage? What does it mean for the passage? So, it shows the results of Beauty's true love. Okay, maybe. It reverses one of Beauty's earlier decisions. No, there wasn't a decision that she made earlier that it reversed, so we can just eliminate B. C, it builds a mystery about where the beast goes. Well, not really. I don't think so. There's no mystery there. The beast disappeared and we know where he went. He was replaced, but with the prince. All right. And it introduces a character to compete with the beast. Did that happen? No. So A is the correct answer. Sometimes we just eliminate the ones that we know are wrong. It shows that because she loved him, he turned back into a prince. Let's look at number 4. How are and look, you turn this in, you get all these answers right. That's going to be a very easy grade for you sixth graders. How are the phrases reassured by his gentle voice and came in as usual important in paragraph 15? Let's go back to paragraph 15. We have to know this so that we are sure about our answer. We're not guessing when the answer is right here. So let's look at 15 again. Beauty, who had half expected that he would be angry with her, was reassured by his gentle voice and went back to the palace where supper was awaiting her. And afterward, the beast came in as usual and talked about the time she had spent with her father, asking if she had enjoyed herself and if they had all been very glad to see her. So we went back and read paragraph 15. How are the phrases reassured by his gentle voice and came in as usual important? All right. A, they suggest the beast's attempt to deceive Beauty. No, he wasn't trying to deceive her. He was being really nice. So let's cross out A. B, they emphasize Beauty's feeling of isolation at the palace. No, she didn't feel isolated there. Excuse me. C, they introduced the beast's point of view for the first time in the passage. Mm, I don't think so, but let's see what D is. They develop a sense of routine in the relationship between Beauty and the Beast. Oh, I don't like any of those. So let me go back because I said no to all of them. One of them has to be the answer. Reassured by his gentle voice, came in as usual. All right, let's see. They suggest the Beast. He's definitely not trying to deceive her, so I'm still going to say that A is wrong. They emphasize Beauty's feeling of isolation. I don't think that. They introduce the Beast's point of view. Mm, a sense of routine. I think I'm going to go with D because, as usual, is a routine. His gentle voice, she remembers his routine, his voice. This is just, okay, we're back to square one. I'm going to go with D. Number five, why is Beauty's encounter with the beast in the cave significant? Do we know what significant means? It means really important. So why was the encounter with the beast in the cave significant? Well, it says she remembers to be fearful of the beast. When she goes to the cave and finds him in there, she's not afraid of him at all. So let's not do A. B, she realizes the beast will die without her. Maybe. C, she realizes how much she loves the beast. I think that's it. But let me check D to make sure. She realizes how bad captivity is for the beast. I think C. She realizes how much she loves him. Absolutely. All right, we are almost done, sixth graders. You are killing it. If you are getting these answers right, you are going to rock this test. If you're not getting them right, you are still going to rock this test because you're learning and you're practicing and seeing how the questions are. All right. Number six, read paragraph 18. As she spoke, a blaze of light sprang up before the windows of the palace. Fireworks crackled, and across the avenue of orange trees, in letters all made of fireflies, was written, "Long live the prince and his bride." Every time I read the word fireflies together, I think of Timon in The Lion King. Do you ever remember that? And he's like, "It's fireflies." When he asks him, you guys aren't going to think that's funny. You're going to think I'm weird. But anyway, when Simba is like, "What are all these stars above the sky?" And Timon's like, "It's fireflies." Anyway, sorry. I enjoy that part. You probably think it's goofy. So anyway, long live the Prince and Bride. How does this paragraph contribute to the development of the setting? What's the setting? The time and the place when which something happens. Okay. A, by showing it is thrilling and elaborate. By showing it is vast and unpopulated. No. By showing it is a dangerous location, not dangerous. By showing it is a stage like a play. I think I don't really know this answer. So since I don't know the answer, I'm going to try to eliminate as many as I can. Definitely eliminating B because vast and unpopulated, no. It's not dangerous either. So I'm going to eliminate B and C, and I'm going to have to choose between A and D now. That gives me a better chance of getting the answer right. And at least I don't know the answer, so I'm going to at least give it my best guess. It's thrilling and elaborate. It's a stage like a play. Well, it's not a stage. Um, and it is thrilling and it's elaborate and it's gorgeous. And so that's the way that I think it is. So I'm going to go with A. Okay. All right. This is our last question. This is another part A and part B question that I do not like, but they are actually good for you. Okay. What is the theme of the passage? Remember when we talked about theme, we think about like a birthday party. Well, what's your theme? Okay. Your theme, let's just say my birthday party is going to be Lion King. Okay. It's a message that I want everybody to be involved in. So, what is the theme? What are we trying to get from this passage? All right. So, is the theme wanting everybody to know it's comforting to be welcomed? B, it can be difficult to adjust to change. C, love helps people look past experiences. Or D, unhappiness can be caused by people putting off decisions. I'm not even going to play with this one. I already know the answer to this. Love helps people look past appearances. Belle is with this beast, this big, hairy beast, and he's probably ugly. I don't know, but I think he's probably ugly. And so I mean, I don't want to be married to no big old hairy beast. Do you? No. But when she fell in love with him, she didn't care about the way he looked anymore, right? So C, that's the answer. Now, this is the part that makes it tough. Which detail from the passage develops the theme in part A? The theme that we picked was love helps people look past appearances. So, let me see here. Now, so which one helps support that? Now she knew that he was really gentle in spirit in spite of his ferocious looks and his dreadful voice. That's a good contender. Then her sisters seemed to have got quite used to being without her. No, that has nothing to do with it. Every day when she got up, she meant to say it at night, and when night came, she put it off again. Nope. Everything was just as before, and her birds were so good. No. So we know it's A. She knew that he was really gentle in spite of his looks and his dreadful voice, ferocious looks and dreadful voice. Okay. So now we've answered all of these questions. You've done a wonderful job, sixth graders. So tomorrow we are going to work on this one. This one is where you have two passages. If you see that there, passage one, the first American superstar, it's a little bit long. And then you have another passage and they both go together. So you will read both of them. And not only do you answer the questions, but then, dun dun dun, we have to write, where is it? Okay, we have to now write an essay on this one. A multi-paragraph response, not a sentence. We have to write several paragraphs where you analyze, basically just talk about, analyze this man's musical career. And we're going to talk about this tomorrow. All right. So far, so good. I really think that you guys are going to do a great job. I just wanted you to get some practice with the questions. All right. Uh, like and subscribe to my channel. And what I forget over what else I'm supposed to say. Hit that like button. I got to do better than this. All right, sixth graders, have a great day. Be good. Be nice to each other. Bye.